Welcome back to Tyler and Lifestyle. This is a late night video, and I was thinking like I've originally showed how I was studying through the Asthma book about 15 to 30 minutes a day, but things have drastically changed. So I just want to let you know, just in case you were following along or trying to do something similar to me to master this Thai language within a year. I wanted to be very transparent of what I'm doing, just in case you wanted to follow along or wanted to compare learning strategies of what we're doing to succeed at studying the Thai language. So my primary learning resources have not changed. So I'm still sticking with the Ask Me Thai book. That's my primary language learning material. But since then, I have introduced the Thai for beginners. So I just wanted to go over, my basic strategies of what I'm doing. And basically, when I sit down to study, it's have drastically changed again from, 15 minutes to now going on about 2 hours every single day without fail. So, what I normally start with is the Asthma book. I've been waking up about an hour earlier than I normally do, just before my daughter wakes up. So, what I've been doing is that I got to about lesson 70, and I definitely realized that things were just happening way too fast. I was being a little bit more aggressive, going through the lessons a little bit quicker than I should have. So I've been just reviewing as much as possible in the Asthma book. So once I got to about lesson 70, I realized I needed to take a pause to let everything kind of absorb in with the Asthma book. I was really trying to force myself getting done with these lessons between, 15, 30 minutes. And there was absolutely no way. The words were getting longer. A lot more concepts were being thrown out. The speakers are speaking way faster. Once you get towards level or lesson 70, they bring on this, like I mentioned in a previous video, this other speaker, and they're just coming at you with tons of stuff. You're getting more than just dialogues now with the Asthma book. You're getting like journal entries and talking about politics and other things and ideas and abstract thought in the Thai language, and that's going to be a different level of complexity. So, my current routine, number one, I do wake up early in the morning now, like I mentioned, and I try to get done with a review lesson. So, what I like to do, just so I have my own built-in spaced repetition, what people like to call these days, is that I look through my Asthma book. I go from the review sections and just do every chapter the same and do every chapter that is directly after those review sessions at the same time. So right now I'm going back, I'm being reactive again right around lesson 56. And what I do is that, say on lesson 7, I'm going to go back and do the one right after lesson 7. So every 7 lessons on the Asthma book is a revision chapter where they go over basic grammar concepts for you. But what I've been doing, I've been going to say lesson 8, and then, lesson 14 is another review session. So I'll be on lesson 15 on there. And then lesson 21, I'll go to lesson 22. And that'll be all for one day. For the next day, I'll just do 2 past the revision section. So lesson 7 is a revision. Instead of being lesson 8, what I'll be doing lesson 9. And then, lesson 14 is a revision. So what I'll do is not lesson 15, but I'll do lesson 16. This will just keep all the older chapters kind of refreshed in your mind and kind of get you a basic vocabulary of the grammar, and it'll just keep everything very fresh in your mind. And I do find that this has helped me to remember a lot of words. And when I'm listening to the audios of the Ask Me a Book, like when I'm driving in the car or I'm doing something in the yard, I have my headphones on, this has definitely helped reinforce a lot of the dialogues. And what I'm doing during this time is that, yes, I look at the book first. So I go through the book looking at the dialogues themselves as I'm listening. And then I always make sure I do it a second time for each of those lessons as well, just so I can make sure that when I hear it, I completely understand it. And an important thing with these review lessons is that I'm making sure that there's no gaps. A lot of times you can learn something, but as you're progressing on, those gaps will become bigger and bigger because you start forgetting more the longer you're away from that material. But the revisions, that's when you get in there and you're actually revising and polishing up all those little details that you may have been missing. And that entire time, it's probably going to take me between 20 to 30 minutes alone, just doing the revisions and listen to the audios over and over of all the review lessons. Because again, I'm listening to them twice and it's progressively going to get, more and more of a review. But as I mentioned at the very beginning of the series, is that I do plan that it's going to take me about 1 year to finish this book, to really absorb everything in the Aspinall book. What I found is that if you go through this in 3 months, you're not going to learn every single word or every single usage of everything. But I'll just keep reviewing this book over and over and over for at least 1 good year. And the amount of vocabulary that you'll get in this Asimo book, it should be right around about 1,500 words, along with the other books I'm going to be reviewing, and then the YouTube. Hopefully, I can get my vocabulary above 2,000 of the most common used words in the Thai language, and that would definitely put me at an A2 level. Going on a tangent here is that yes, you can have a passive vocabulary of a lot of words, but I want those 2,000 or so words to be very active, where I can talk about all of them at free will and understand them without translating in my head. And that's why listening is really important, because you're reinforcing the sentence patterns over and over again. So, part two, I'm completely done now with my review lessons. And this is when I move on to go into the newest lesson where I'm learning it. So the learning lesson is again going to take about 20 to 30 minutes alone. So as you can see, I'm already at an hour just in the Aspinall book alone. Because what I'm doing, I'm making sure that I understand every single word to the best of my ability, but not just the word, but the meaning. Sometimes in the Thai language and pretty much any language, you'll start getting with idioms and other things, and you'll start trying to put things together. So especially in the Thai language, they do a lot of stuff that involves like an abstract or something worthy of something. And I'm just trying to have repetition and understanding patterns in the language as much as possible. So as I'm going through a new lesson, I'm definitely making sure that I'm spending a lot of time, a lot of effort to absorb as much as I can, but give myself time to notice and really absorb the actual lesson in the active section of the new lesson I'm learning. And then part three of my Asimo book every single day I'm trying to knock out is the active wave itself. Yes, there's some people online and on forums, they say they never do an active wave, but I strongly believe that you need to keep some type of active component of the book, or you're never really going to ingrain a lot of the words. So yes, I'll do an active wave. If I can, I try my hardest to do one every single day. And right now I'm getting on to about lesson 30 in the book. And then that shouldn't take too long, because again, you're doing all the repetition, you're listening over and over, and you should know these words, especially in the beginning. You should know these words very, very well by the time you're getting to these higher lessons, because you reviewed them so many times every single day. Is that the active lessons I find should only really take you about 5 to 10 minutes. If you find something you don't know, that's when you need to buckle down, spend a little bit more time on the actual lesson. But I personally find that the active lessons shouldn't take you that long. Now, I do plan on adding one more thing to this book. So once I'm able to actually read and write, I do plan on probably copying most of the dialogues from the Aspinall book down in my journal. So that'll be another wave by itself. I have my journal right here, and I have my trusty fountain pen with my special kanji nib that is pretty nice when if you're gonna write unique characters and whatnot. I don't know if you can see it, but it is a very nice pen. It writes very well. If you're looking for a recommendation, these pens are amazing. So after I've already spent at least an hour on the Aspinall book, that's when I go to my secondary learning source. So at the time of filming this video, I did my first wave through this book. So once you get to about lesson 60 or so in the Aspinall book, you pretty much have already seen almost all the vocabulary in here, and you've been introduced to pretty much all the grammar. But what I like about this book is the sentences. So this book has tons of sentences where you can go and listen to them over and over with the vocabulary to get a lot more of a context and usage of those vocabulary words that you've seen in the ASMO book and you've seen in this particular book. So with this actual book right here, what I've been working on is sentence construction. So I try to use the sentences as kind of like a blueprint of when I go and make my own sentences. So I'll have a sentence, I'll go ahead, read the sentences in this particular book, and I'll just replace one word with the other. So say if it's saying, where is the book? I would ask, where is the newspaper? Or where is the table? Where is the dog? And just keep going over these sentences over and over just to get more active repetition where I'm speaking out loud and come up with my own thoughts in the Thai, syntax, the Thai grammatical structure sentences. This is the highlight of this book for me. Now, I know there's an intermediate book that I do have on my shelf, and it looks a little bit different. So, if I get to that book for this year, once I'm done with this, so what I like to do with this particular book, I like to group the chapters by 3, and then I'll go over, listen to all the sentences, and try to pick at least one chapter for the day and just go through those sentences. Make sure, I know every single thing in there. Again, I've already been through the book, so I pretty much know all the words of these chapters thus far. I'll stick with these 3 chapters for the entire week, and I'll just keep going through, changing the words that I know from the Aspinall book and this book in the sentences, and just keep changing them. Just keep changing them. Keep changing them. And that will give me a lot of, sentence building activities in my head, so it becomes a little bit more natural. Once I actually engage with native speakers, and that's going to come much later, I probably won't be speaking that much. I might be filming me, like I might have me doing some videos coming up pretty soon when I do activities. I try my best to speak some broken Thai, but I'm really not going to be engaging native speakers just, blindly, probably until about 6 months, what I feel like with now. So I began studying this in June. So you're probably looking around December where you're getting, hopefully, my goal is to have a lot more speaking with native speakers and definitely upload videos of me speaking with like italki teachers or other instructors and doing things that involve the Thai language a lot more. So stay tuned to that if you want to see my progression, you want to see how everything's coming together and how I'm trying to put everything together in 1 year. Definitely like the video, subscribe, and you'll come along with me on this journey. So I definitely plan, like I say over and over, I'm not trying to be the most fluent person in a year, but I'm trying to definitely get to an A2 level, vocabulary above 2,000, and be able to really use those vocabulary words very well and do basic activities in the Thai language. I do find this language very unique, very different from the other ones I've studied. This is my first tonal language, so it's definitely a fun roller coaster for me. I know a lot of people say you have to learn the script first. And when I do have time, I'm definitely going through. I have some YouTube videos I'm watching, and I'm using the lessons in the Beginner Ties book right here about how to write the letters and going through them. I do plan towards the end of the year to be able to make sure I'm able to read and write very well in the Thai script. But I do believe that you can definitely get to an A2 level without the script. I know some people will say that you probably won't be able to, or you can't make the sounds, but with all the listen and practice I'm doing and the new YouTube channel that I'm trying to listen to throughout the day, trying to get one lesson done, the Comprehensible Thai YouTube channel, they also recommend don't learn the script in the beginning until you know the sounds and the flow of the language. So this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm not really diving into the script yet. I'm learning it slowly, and I plan on being able to use the script as I progress further from a beginner of the language into the intermediate. I definitely want to access more YouTube channels that the only subtitles they give you is in the Thai script, and without reading and writing the Thai language, particularly reading, I wouldn't be able to actually gather more information from this type of native content. So I do plan on reading and writing towards the end of the year. At first, I want to just really dive down into the vocabulary, into the language, and you'll definitely see that as well. I do definitely plan on, tracking my vocabulary, how many words I know going throughout the year, but also demonstrating the ability to read and write in the language. Now, for the Thai Teach Yourself book, I did find that that book was very lacking. Some people online said that book was great and that was comparable to Thai for beginners. I definitely do not feel like it was great or comparable to Thai for the beginners. I finished the entire book, and yes, you do learn some vocabulary. It breaks down grammar well. The author seems like they wanted to do a more grammatical approach. So I did buy a new book. I just want to let y'all know. It is the Thai Essential Grammar from the same author as the Thai Teach Yourself book. So again, I do plan on reviewing every single one of these books as I progress in my Thai journey. But before I do any review on these books, I definitely want to make sure I'm able to do a few things. One, I want to make sure that I'm fully done with the book, where I've done every single thing in the book to gather, the most usage of the material. And I want to make sure, again, I can read and write, that things just make sense. And I definitely want to reflect back. Once I finish everything, I can read, I can write, I can definitely try to understand more of the Thai language. I want to go through and review every single Thai language material to have a comprehensive channel where I review pretty much everything that's been helpful and things that have been not helpful. So definitely stay tuned, like, subscribe if you want to see that. Definitely leave a comment below what you're doing to learn the Thai language or what language you're currently learning, and keep promoting each other's learning. And other than that, I hope you have a great day. It's time for me to go to bed. It is late here, so take care.